Hello, welcome to the Center Code training video. We're talking about moderating your user feedback. And in this case, we're going to talk about feedback types, feedback management, adjusting your statuses, and utilizing workflow. So in this video, you'll learn how to update and modify defect tickets, and we'll also talk about when it's appropriate to break workflow using admin modify. Within the Nighthawk Beta project, this is part of your management phase. This is after you've launched your project, you have feedback coming into your site via bug reports, suggestions, etc., and you need to be able to administrate and moderate your feedback. Now regarding feedback management, it utilizes filter and view criteria just like in user management, so if you're unfamiliar with filter and view, be sure to take another look at the Connect Manager Fundamentals video. Additional functionality within the feedback management is the check-in versus check-out function. And in the case of the Nighthawk project workflow, new tickets come in from your testers, they go directly to the general support team. Users within that team then have to check out the bug to themselves in order to modify those tickets. Adjusting statuses and whatnot allow them to take action on those bugs, and then they'll check them back into the general support team if another user needs to pick them up. Additionally, keep in mind that we'll be modifying tickets and following workflow, so your feedback workflow needs to be in place appropriately. Your internal members need to understand what goes on as far as the support actions, modifying and moderating the feedback that come in from your testers, whereas your testers don't necessarily need to know anything about the process other than the fact that they submit bugs. So in this case, we're actually going to dig into tracking feedback, but we're looking at it from the perspective of general support. Now, depending on your setup, you might have the project manager be the one in charge of all the bug triage and changing things and moderating your feedback. In the case of the Nighthawk project, the project manager does not have direct control over feedback. As such, I'm in under the general support team because they are the first line, the triage team, that basically handles all the feedback when it first comes in. So in that regard, we're going to take a look at track bug reports on the left-hand menu here. You also have the option to track suggestions and daily journals, and tracking these feedback types is controlled by feedback roles. So this particular user account has access to viewing and modifying bugs. So clicking on Track Bug Report takes me to the splash page, very similar to user management. Again, we'll be utilizing views and filters here. I can use shared filters or create my own new filter. In this case, I want all open bugs. And for the view, I can choose any different items here that I want to view. I can stick with the default or go with basic details. In this case, I'm going to choose basic details, and I'm going to show that feedback list. So you can see here this list of 33 open bugs, and you can see the different icons available there. The view icon, the modify column has a little check mark, and then you can see the different items that we've chosen to view utilizing the basic details view. Now in this case, I can view these particular items by simply clicking on the view icon. And from here I'll be able to see what this bug's all about. If this looks to me like something I need to handle or I can have a bearing on, you can see on the right hand side there that this is currently owned by Quality Assurance. When I check this out, I will take personal ownership of this bug. So checking it out, you can see it now goes to general support within the Quality Assurance team. And then from here, this particular bug is off the list for other Quality Assurance team members. I've taken control of this bug, no one else can pick it up while I'm working on it. In order for them to be able to have access to it again, I would have to check it back in. Now if you notice, another functionality that came up when I checked out this bug was the Modify button. Top center is the Modify button. We're going to go ahead and click on that to modify this bug, and it allows us access to all the different fields within this particular bug form. So scrolling down, I can make any changes I need to. If I need to add additional details, I can scroll down and adjust the category. Maybe this isn't actually a high importance bug, maybe it's only medium. I can adjust that as such. Further down, I have the option of uploading files, changing the resolution information, so this is again an internal only discussion box. And then I can change the status. So for example, once I've decided that this is something that needs to be taken a look at, but maybe I need some more information from the tester. In this case, I'll go ahead and click on Needs More Information, and then scroll down and submit the changes. As you can see here, scrolling down again, it is no longer in the Modify screen, but you can see the status has changed to Needs More Information. Scrolling back up here, I can actually enter a comment. Scrolling down gives me the option to notify the submitter, the current owner, the previous owners, or the previous commentators. In this case, I want to notify the submitter. Now notifying the submitter opens up this checkbox to allow the submitter to update this feedback. Providing this information, I can actually check on or check off, allowing the submitter to update the feedback one time. So basically this functionality sends a notification to the user saying that there was a new comment on their bug. They'll access the link in that email to access this bug, and they'll have a one-time access to modifying this particular form. So for example, if I needed not only additional details, but I wanted a screenshot, I can simply ask the tester to provide it. And then when the user comes into this particular form, they'll be able to modify the file attachment field and attach their file. Once they've submitted the form, they completely lose that particular functionality and it's back to only being owned by me and only modifiable by this account. Going back to the bug report list, you can see the other items here. Now I currently still have this item checked out. In order to modify that, simply view the item and check it back in. So now you can see it's owned by the quality assurance team as a whole. I'm going to go back to my list and see all of my bugs that are owned by my team. In this case, I can continually scroll down and view all the different items. There are some bugs that I currently still own, for example number 39 there. But because my team has access to all of these bugs, I am given the opportunity to check out this bug and take ownership of it directly. The next thing we want to talk about is the administrator modify function. Admin modify works outside of workflow, meaning that it can technically circumvent your workflow and under some circumstances, if not used properly, can actually break your workflow for that particular bug. You can lose ownership and things like that. The admin modify functionality is actually controlled via your feedback roles, and we'll take a look at that momentarily. And it's generally best to keep that to your project manager and not provide it to your internal team unless absolutely necessary. So for example, if the project manager has no bearing on your feedback, then you might want a subset of your internal group who have full moderate functionality for bug reports. Generally speaking, it's much better to assume the ticket owner and then modify it within workflow and only admin modify when absolutely necessary. So to take a look at the admin modify functionality here, let's take a look at it from the project manager perspective. First off, I'm going to show you the role that corresponds to the moderate functionality. Going into modify for your bug report, check out the feedback roles, and scroll down, you have that moderate feedback checkbox. Now in this case, the project manager cannot be revoked this functionality, but for example, your internal participants don't have moderate feedback turned on. So again, if you as a project manager have no bearing on your workflow and it's controlled exclusively by your support group, you might want to have a subset of users who are responsible for the moderate functionality, or at least provide them the information that it should only be used in sparing circumstances. If you feel comfortable, go ahead and click on moderate feedback for those particular teams and update whenever you're ready. Now to actually view the moderate functionality at work, let's go ahead and pull up a feedback list. Pull up that same open bugs list. In this case, I'm going to scroll down to bug 15 and take a look at it. Now, I do have the modify functionality across the top here, and whenever possible, I'm going to utilize that modify functionality. If all else fails, I need to modify this bug, but it's fallen out of workflow in some way, you're unable to contact the individual who owns it, for some reason you can't assume the owner or someone who might possibly be able to own it, then you can utilize the administrative modify in the left-hand menu. So from here you'll click the modify link, and it provides you a bit of additional information. Scroll down to the submit as, and you'll choose your different team to submit this particular issue as. Scrolling down, I can make any modifications just as though I had normally modified it and owned it. And then once I submit the form, it'll actually be modified and set as owned by my account via the team that I have chosen. So again, be extremely careful utilizing admin modify, as it can very easily pull tickets out of your workflow. Best case scenario, this is something done after the fact, so after your project is wrapped up, maybe after tickets have been closed and solved out and you need to make your modifications, you can come in and admin modify them, because at that point workflow doesn't really matter. So in this video we covered updating and modifying defect tickets from the perspective of an actual ticket owner. We also talked about when it's appropriate to utilize the admin modify functionality, which is again as sparingly as possible. Of course, we have more videos coming up corresponding to other maintenance and upkeep steps within your project moving forward, so stay tuned.